would feel like I'm on holiday the whole time.
Yeah, and they were mentioning about they have good amount of Indians over there, so
Oh
they know
yeah.
about Indian culture and Indian traditions.
Of
Yeah.
course, definitely, definitely. Indian is, I think, after India, it has the most popular. It has the biggest popularity of Indians after India.
Yes,
So
yes,
definitely.
yes. They were mentioning
So
the same, and it was glad to
yeah,
know that. And they
yeah,
shared
yeah.
about their cuisine and how they like Indian food
Of course.
and all those
And
things.
curry and
Yeah,
snowballs and
biryani.
mulkia. Biryani, of
Yeah.
course. My mom stays in KZN. So every time I go to Durban, where my mom's, so Durban is a city in the province called KwaZulu Natal, right?
Yeah.
So my mom stays there. Every time I go there, that's all I want. The samosas, the biryani, the curry, the butter chicken. That's
Yeah,
all. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
and
Because in Durban, it's more expensive.
yeah,
But in Durban, it's cheap and it's,
and they like Bollywood. They
amazing.
follow Bollywood songs. They follow Bollywood
Oh,
movies. So yeah,
okay.
it
My
was quite
mom does. My
surprising for
mom
me
does.
that they have. It's like mini India. As they
Of
described, I felt
course.
like it's a mini India.
It is. It is definitely mini India. Well, when you come to South Africa, now you know where you're going to chill. Yeah.
Yes,
Of
absolutely.
course, of course. But I think, okay, maybe before we get into our lesson, what are your thoughts around change? Because if you come to South Africa, you have the option of going to Durban, and you'll literally be home. I promise you,
Yeah.
right? But now, what about change? Are you the person? Are you the kind of person that would choose something because of its familiarity, or do you think you would risk and actually choose something for its unfamiliarity? What kind of
Well,
person are
so
you?
based on the situation, I feel I can opt for the both. If I get a chance,
Okay.
I mean, suppose I apply for a job and one
Mm.
for the position at Durban and one for the position in Johannesburg, then
Mm-hmm.
definitely my first preference will be the Durban. And
Of
after
course.
going there and after going there, after knowing the culture, tradition, and get along with the people, then I can
Mm.
also think about moving to Johannesburg.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So for you, to some degree, comfort is important and familiarity is important,
Yeah,
yeah?
because if we have a chance or if you have the option, then I can go for it. And if we don't
Mm.
have the option, then I'm also okay to move to some
It's also
unfamiliar
okay.
location. Yeah, it's
Have you
fine.
ever done that? Have you ever had to be in a space where you were completely out of your comfort zone?
Y-
Maybe in a new job, maybe in a new neighborhood, maybe culturally, maybe in terms of language. Have you
Yeah,
just ever existed in a space where you were very different from
yes, many
everyone?
of the times, in India, if you
Okay.
see, it's a highly diverse country and people across India, if you see from North India to South India,
Mm,
there you will find a good amount of difference in tradition, culture, the food,
okay.
and the people. So it's like
Okay.
when I moved from eastern part of India to southern part, where the actual we call it as a IT hub, Bangalore. When I
The
initially,
IT hub.
yeah, when I
Okay. Where
initially
the
posted,
smarties are.
sorry,
Where the smarty pants are.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So when I initially shifted to the new place, I mean the place is completely different environment that I had during my childhood or during my college days.
What was different about it? Was it the way people did things?
Yeah,
Was it
the
how
way
people
people
communicated?
communicate, there will be a change in language, there will be a change in food, tradition, culture, and
Okay.
the way people behave with you. Because when you
Mm,
have a similar language across the country, you can move around any place and you can get
of
along with the
course.
people.
And still be comfortable, sure.
Yeah, and you
Sure.
will be definitely comfortable going any place. But
Okay.
in India, we have around 30 states and each state has their own language. So if you move out of
Ooh,
your state and go to any other state and you try speaking with some common language, not with their native language,
of
then they
course.
get to know that okay, he's an outsider or she's an outsider.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
as
yeah.
soon as they will get to know that you are not from that state, so
Yeah, yeah.
the psychologically the behavior will change and
Of course, the
Yeah,
way that they
they will
receive and
perceive you
interact
in a
with you.
different way, and they will feel
Mm.
like, okay, he's from other state and he has come here to work, and so the
Oh,
perception will
yes.
differ. Yeah, you will not
Mm.
be able to familiarize yourself with them until and unless you
Sure.
spend some time.
Of course. So you'll be a bit ostracized. Yeah?
Yeah,
Mm.
ostracized. Okay,
Yes,
what do
yes.
you mean by
When you're
this?
ostracized, if you're ostracized in a situation or something, it means that you're outcast to an extent. It's like you're distinguished from the others.
Yeah,
So this is us,
discriminate.
and then we'll push you out a bit. So you'll be like, oh, you'll be cast out a little. Yeah?
Discriminated could be the
Yes, yes,
synonym.
to an
Oh,
extent. Discriminated. But discriminated not because we're discriminating you, but keeping you with us. Yeah, we're discriminating, but we're also trying to push you to the side a little.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, that's interesting. That is a challenge to me, actually, and my thinking. And it's actually posing a challenge because I think I'd like to know more about Indian culture now.
Yeah,
Because the common misconception, and this is obviously fueled by media and propaganda, Indians are all the same
yeah,
in our heads, right? You
yeah.
just think they all speak the same language, they all have beautiful clothes, they all listen to the same music, they all can dance like this. So it's like, okay, it's a challenge. What you just told me is a challenge for me to be like, maybe you should look more into the Indian society and actually learn about some of the differences.
Yeah, so because when Indians come out of the country, I mean, when they go out of the country, they have to
Mm,
sing together and they'll have to sync with the common language in India. But when we are
okay.
inside India and we are moving around state to state, so that perception differs from people to people.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's interesting. That
yeah,
is absolutely interesting. What a great way, really, to start off our lesson. So today we're talking preparing for an interview. Right? Are you trying to leave your job, Dwari? What's happening? Why are you trying to leave your job? They just
No,
got you
I'm
on a
not trying
Monday.
to leave my job. I was just trying to schedule with one of the topic, and I mean, it's been 50 sessions, right? So I was not
Mhm.
getting any other topics. So I thought,
Okay.
let's try it out. What's
Sure,
there,
sure.
what's not
Okay.
there.
And what interest do you have in interviews? Have you been interviewing regularly? How long have you been working at your current job? Are there prospects of changing your job? What's that?
Yeah,
What's happening
yeah.
there?
So as of now, I mean, during the pandemic, as we are working from home, I think we are at a comfort zone that okay, we are able
Right.
to work from home and we are able to
Right.
at least earn some money.
Mm,
Unlike other people, those are still struggling for their
of
uh,
course.
a livelihood, and
Mm,
so that's why at some point of time we need to think that we are kind of fortunate enough that okay,
of
up to some
course.
extent we are having good time.
Of
Uh,
course.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And yes, given the current situation at hand, do you think there is a possibility of you getting a new job? Or do you think it's about hanging on to what you
yeah.
have at
So
the
as I
moment?
mean, the hiring process are still there. The companies are still hiring. The employees are
Okay,
still leaving the company because everything is happening
of
in a
course.
virtual environment. So there is no
Mm,
obstacle for that.
of
People need
course.
not have to go to interview physically. They can have some video
Mm,
call and they can sort out the interviews, and they can
of
also
course.
employers are also able to do their joining process virtually, and
Of course.
yeah,
And the training and everything can be done virtually,
yes,
yeah?
virtually. So nothing is
Sure.
stopping from employer to take that individual decisions.
Of course, of
So,
course.
and the most the problem what I see during my interviews is that how can I
Mm.
uh, give my introduction in a very crispy or short way, covering all sort of
How can you
things
give your introduction in a?
in a crispy form. I mean, in a
Ah, okay. In a
brief way,
concise manner, yeah?
yeah, in a concise way, and
Mm.
covering all certain things. So that is
Ah,
one
okay.
thing I would like to learn in this session, maybe.
Good, good. Clear and concise manner, yeah? Yeah, in a
Clear
clear
and
and
clear
concise
and
manner
concise.
that is still informative, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this would be,
Because
how do you
what
present?
happens, I mean,
Go ahead.
if you are at initial level of your job, like 1 year
Mm,
and 2 year, then you have
mm,
less information to describe yourself.
of
But when
course,
your
of course.
experience increases, I mean, when you reach to around 7 to 8 years of experience,
Mm,
then you
mm,
cannot saying that okay, first year I did that, then I did that, so it becomes
then I
very
did
long.
this. I like
And
that, of course.
yeah, and it becomes very boring. So
Mm.
I wanted to know how we can uh, give our introduction in a prescribed way.
Ah, okay.
How can
So
we start?
how do you introduce yourself in a descriptive, informative way that is engaging? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. I want to write that down because it's going to be our guiding question for the day. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you introduce yourself in an in an informative way that is precise, that is precise and engaging. Okay. Okay, so we'll come back to this question. How do you introduce yourself in an informative way
Informative
that
way.
is precise
And
yet still engaging? Okay,
yes,
we'll
exactly.
keep reverting back to that question as we go. Thank you for communicating clearly your expectations for the day.
Yeah.
On that note, let's get going. So our session objectives for the day are as follows. We'll talk briefly about interviews. We'll practice frequently asked interview questions. But what I'll try to then do is center it around how do we introduce ourselves in a way that's going to be very useful and very informative to the people interviewing us. Also because I don't know about you, but I think how you start matters. Yes, it shouldn't determine everything, but it's very important because it's like the first impression you have.
Yes.
So you can either win the people over or you can lose them completely.
Yes.
Through
So
your introduction.
what happens, even if you are technically good or even you have prepared well for the interview technically, but because you are not able to express in a proper way, so that's where you lose half of your confidence as well as from the interviewer confidence.
Of course, absolutely. Now let's talk about interview situations. Okay, what different situations can you think of where you may have an interview? So not only do we go for job interviews, but what kind of other interviews can we try equip ourselves for?
Yeah, so apart from job, I mean, when you are joining a new company, definitely we go through certain process. We have different interview levels, but after joining to the company also, when you go during your joining process, maybe HR will ask some informal. HR will take some informal interview of you. He or she will just ask that how was your day, tell me about yourself, something like that. Followed by when you join your team, then your manager or someone senior from your company, he or she can ask to introduce yourself to the team. And after that, when if we are working with overseas client and overseas teams, so we suppose I have joined India team, then we'll have a sync up call with the overseas teams. At that point of time also we need to introduce ourselves, and that point of time also there is a chance that we can have some kind of interview with the overseas manager or overseas HR or someone.
And now something that is very important, I think it was only way after school, or rather it was too late when I realized no, it wasn't too late, but it was later on when I personally realized the importance of preparing for an interview. Yeah. How important is preparing for an interview? What do you think?
How do you prepare for each of the following interviews?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not looking at that. Okay. How important is preparation in your own words, in your own thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely, preparation it takes you to a different level. So you feel confident inside you. You will be self-motivated and your self-confidence will be boosted once if you prepare for the interview couple of times and then go for the interview. So that also I have experienced. It's like you directly go to an interview and you sit and try giving interview, and try preparing yourself couple of days before the interview and go to the interview. Definitely, I can see the confidence level in myself. It
Of course, of
differs.
course.
Yeah.
And tell me about, do you know the 80-20 rule? Do you know something called the 80-20 rule?
Is it like 80% confidence and 20% skill?
Not really. But close enough. Good try. Good try. Yeah.
No, I
Do you want
think
to try again?
no.
Okay. Well, so the 80-20 rule is something my cousin gave or told me about close to the end of my first degree, right? And it not only applies to your work and your job and your career, but it also applies to relationships and stuff. But in this context, for an interview, the 80-20 rule says 80% of the work and the things that you present in an interview, during presentations, with interaction with other companies, etc., 80% of what you do then is 20% of what you do in those settings is prepared in the 80% of your life. All right.
Okay.
So it's just basically saying that only constitutes 20%. So when you're in front of people, introducing yourself, hi, my name is Duari, etc., you are trying to compress 80% that is spent behind the scenes. Right. So your preparation, your skill development, your readiness, your understanding of your work, that is the whole 80. But no one sees that 80. Everyone only sees that 20%.
Okay.
But the 80 is actually the most important. Yeah? Because without the 80, you don't have a good 20. Without the 80, you don't have a great Dwari to introduce, so to speak. Yeah?
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
Nice
So now
information.
Good. So what do you think is the best way? So you told me a few days before you need to start preparing for your interview.
Yeah.
What is the best way? What are some of the steps or some of the best ways that you reckon are ideal when preparing for the interview? What do you do? Do you just relax or do you just recite, hi, my name is Dwari, I'm great, I'm fantastic, I'm the best thing under the sun? What do you do in the preparation process? What does that look like for you?
I mean, well, I haven't tried that, but the ideal way to try maybe uh, write in a notebook and look into it, read it, and find out is there any mistake and try to change it, and then go through it couple of times. I think that that will be a good idea to prepare, but I haven't tried yet.
Okay. I think just to give you a few, right? And also drawing back to the question that we had. So it's always important to gather information about the company.
Yeah.
So this is before you look at your role, just find out about the company as much as you can. Okay, after finding about the company, you'll obviously discover the size of the company, what the company has done, the history of the company's market, the company's activity, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And try to review the performance of the company if and when you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I think would make a good introduction of yourself is an introduction that is linked to the company. Okay. It doesn't help going to the company and telling us, oh, you're great at cutting hair, but you're auditioning for a finance job.
Well,
we don't care. You might be the best hair cutter, but that has nothing to do with the company.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with the history of the company or the prospects of the company.
True.
So I think a good introduction would be which skills are of interest to this company.
Okay.
And those are the skills you're going to put forward. And what is that going to help you with? It's going to help you eliminate a lot of unnecessary talk.
Yes.
Because sometimes, like you said, you've worked for 8 years or 9 years. In that 9 years, you didn't really stick to one company, but there's a specific company that gave you a skill that is necessary for this job.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Speak and capitalize on that company. And then it's going to eliminate you having to talk through 8 years of that terrible stamping job.
Absolutely.
And that volunteering that you had to do. And that dreadful job. It's going to eliminate that whole process. So it helps for you to know, okay, what has the company done? What is the company's performance review? What is the company looking forward to do? And what have I gained that speak to these things? Yeah?
Yes. So though I prepare for this, I mean, this is really a good info. I mean, we should try to link out the things, but
say that again.
we should try to link out the things. I mean, link in the things. I mean, as you said, right, we should do some R&D to know about the company and how we
Mm,
can link our skill to the required
mm,
position.
yes.
But the challenge which I face is like,
Mm,
it's about my personal introduction. Like, how can I start? Whether I, well, so
talking
I'll just
about
explain
yourself.
you what is the
Mm,
problem with me while explaining myself. Like, I start with my name and then I say I'm from, and then I
mm,
say I worked there for 2 years, 3 years. Then
mm.
my hobby is this, my strength is this, my weakness is this. So all this becomes diversified. So how I can line up these things when I do my personal introduction. Coming to
Okay,
the
okay.
technical introduction, I am fine. I can give the technical explanation,
Mm,
whatever I
mm,
have. But
mm.
that is a challenge I
Yourself.
face when I introduce about myself, my strength, my weakness, my hobby,
Sure,
all sort of
sure.
things. So I struggle to line up these things in a proper way so that it will be a prescribed way of introducing myself.
Yeah, yeah. So, that's interesting because knowing how to talk about yourself can distinguish you from the crowd. Because a lot of you might be able to do the job,
Yes,
technically speaking, but
yes,
then what is going to differentiate all of you is the person Dwari. It's
yes,
the person Sips. It's the person Tepo or whatever, right?
yeah,
So now you're asking, how do I make sure that I introduce my personal self in a way that would be engaging to the interviewees, yeah?
yes,
The
yes.
interviewers, yeah? That's a good question. So what I'd say is make it personal in a way that is engaging in a sense. Okay? What I mean by that is maybe tell people what your favorite quote is. That says a lot about a person, right? What are the words that get you going
Okay,
generally and every day in your life? So what is your personal motto?
okay,
Right? So maybe, hi, my name is Dwari. I believe that blah 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 blah. Right?
okay,
How this quote or how these words have shaped my life has been that I've been able to gain skills in this way while trying to accomplish or live through this quote. And I've tried to work through my weaknesses in this way while trying to live through this quote. Yeah.
okay,
And then you can also introduce different dynamics. So, for example, you can speak about the kind of people that you try keep in your life, because usually those are the people that help us successfully or unsuccessfully get through challenges. So maybe mention that, are you married? I don't think I've asked. Are you married?
yes, I am.
Ah, sure. So bring that dynamic into you, because essentially it has a huge role on the kind of person that you are. So maybe you can mention something like, my wife has been a very integral part in me accomplishing my goals because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So not only don't speak about yourself in a my name is this, my name is that, but try to draw in and filter in some of the influences in your life. Maybe some of the books that you listen, that you read, because of course we're all interested in a person that's well read. Maybe some of the things that you listen to, some of the quotes that are inspiring consistently to you, the people that are constantly there and help build and craft the career and the person that you're trying to be, right?
Yeah,
So I don't think it should be something that you single-handedly do, but speak about your university influence and
okay,
how your networking from then is still influencing you. I don't know if that's helpful for you.
okay, cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
But just try and pull in some of the things that contribute to you. Obviously, without speaking about each and every single detail, you'll tailor it accordingly depending on who you're speaking to. Yeah?
okay, okay, got it.
Sure, sure. So, for example, throughout my university career, when I do interviews or be interviewed for a school leadership role or a little job or whatever. So here's an example. I want to make practical what I'm giving to you, right? So my name is Sips, and I'm a Zulu girl. I'm sustained by the words of one of the African heroes, right? To us, education means the emancipation of Africa, right? This keeps me going because I understand that through equipping myself, I'm able to better equip those around me. and how that helps me in every task that I take on, including this job and this leadership role, is that I understand that my responsibility is not to just do my job, but to empower others to be able to do the similar and better jobs.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Something to that effect, right?
Yes.
Then maybe I'd speak a little bit about some of the things that I do. I've got an organization that does this and that and that, and I'm part of a group that does this and that and that. So that speaks about me, even though I don't tell you that, oh, I love people, oh, I love this. But the things that I'm doing communicate, and they speak better about what I like and what I will offer. Yeah?
Okay. Got it.
Sure. Perfect. Any other question? Any other question that you want to pull out from your own archives? Your own archives. We don't have to go by our
Yeah,
agenda.
I mean, whatever you said, I mean, I have got quite understanding. Yeah. So I think that is the right way. I mean, we try to link the things, and we can, as you said, right? You should. I mean, we should come up with a quote or motto of life, or what we are following, what is giving strength, what is the weakness, and how to overcome that weakness. What actually you are trying to overcome that weakness.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Good.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So now let's come to your advice. Okay, what advice would you give to someone who is going to have a job interview? So here's a little person or a young person,
Yeah.
nice, fired up, and they're going to an interview. What is something that you really think you want to tell them before that interview?
Well, so as we discussed, right, I mean, preparation for an interview really matters a lot. So I will definitely ask him to prepare for it well. I mean, go for some mock interview kind of thing. If you can, I think we can practice the mock interview. It doesn't necessarily to have someone to take interview. We can practice in front of a mirror, or we can record our talk and then listen to it, and then we can try to improve. And so those few things I would like to advise. And from the look perspective, I think you should be very formal, and you should maintain proper dressing. You should have proper dressing sense.
Of course.
Those are some soft skills we should have before going to interview.
Of course. And also the greatest preparation, again, going back to the 80-20 rule, is not going to be the night before the interview, right?
Yes.
Usually the greatest preparation is your everyday life. You prepare for interviews even before you have interviews. So you always try to put yourself in a position that should something come up, you're ready, right?
Yes. Exactly.
So constantly make sure that you speak to people in the field. Constantly make sure that you read up. Constantly make sure that you know what's happening. Constantly just invest in yourself, because that 20% that shines is little, but it's going to be a successful 20% if you have a good 80% going. Yeah?
Yes.
Absolutely. Good. And now let's think about your questions. Okay. Asking good questions in an interview is actually good, and it gives a good impression about you.
Yes.
Okay, which of the following areas would be acceptable to ask about in an interview? I know salary, wherever you are in the world, it's really not appropriate to ask about it, especially in your first interview. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first round of interview, it's like more of knowing the person and is it fit for second round or third round. So I think we should wait for the final call with HR, or the formal interview, the behavior interview, or HR interview.
The induction, yeah? The induction. Of course. Now tell me, which of these are appropriate or acceptable to talk about?
I think it is acceptable to talk about career prospects. You can say about what is your expectation from this position and from the company.
Sure.
And we can also ask about the company training and future outlook of the company.
Okay.
And I think these three things you can definitely ask. And definitely we should avoid asking like vacations, salary, lunch break. I think these things are pretty much standard, and you can wait till the HR round to complete.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. They're not immediately important, 100%.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any last questions to ask me before we move right over to read our vocabulary and call it a day? Yeah?
Well, if we can go ahead, no problem.
Okay. Okay, let's have a read at our vocabulary. Then I'll give you a minute or two to ask whatever, and then we can call it a day. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Well, the vocabulary for these sessions are strength, self-starter, proactive, methodical, organized, computer savvy, motivated, talented, team player, to deal with, to resolve, to get around, to overcome, to surmount, to be skilled in, to have experience with, to be good with.
Yes, absolutely. Any question that you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, so my last questions is always my feedback.
Yes, feedback for yourself. Good.
Yeah.
So, what stood out to me, of course, in this lesson, okay, firstly, allow me to apologize for the slight technical issues we experienced on both our sides. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
It robbed us of a good 8 minutes of our time. And
Yeah,
I'm really
yeah,
upset
yeah.
at that. I'm really upset at that. But about your performance today, firstly, I think I've said this before and I will say it again. Nothing impresses me as a student who's able to voice out their expectations.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I do love people who can voice out their expectations.
Yeah.
So when you're able to do that in class, even all the better. That is very commendable because it says to me, you've got a mission, of course, and you comprehend exactly what is happening. But now you know that not everything is relevant to me. So you're able to communicate that which you desire. Right?
Yeah.
And that is a great English skill, like I've said before, because it tells me that your comprehension is at peak. Okay,
Yeah.
you're not just passively receiving whatever has been given to you,
Yes.
but rather you're able to try help things and steer things in a direction that is beneficial for you.
Okay.
So that for me is like worth 1,000,000 points on its own.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so things like things like pronunciation, I'm not too hard on. I mean, if you've only been speaking English for 5 years or whatever, of course it's gonna take a while for the pronunciation
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
like an American or whatever. But that's not the aim, right?
Yeah.
For me,
The
if your
person
sentences
should
are well
understand what
structured,
we speak. The motto
that is the
should be.
most
Yeah.
important. Of course, content over anything else.
Yes.
I mean, you can be very eloquent, but not speak any substance. That doesn't make sense, right? So I'm very happy with that. I'm happy with your communication. I'm happy with your sentence structure. I tried to give you a word or two for some of the words that you were reading, for some of the words that you were saying, but I'm happy. One last thing. When we chat in our chat box, we only type in full, yeah? Only formal language. Do we have a deal?
Yes.
Can you promise me that? So even when you are typing to your friends, please never say you there. Write it in full.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Always.
Got it.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the time. Even when you're talking to your friends and texting to your friend, never ever ever write an abbreviation because it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember, we're on
I
a
should take
mission.
care of
We're on a
this.
mission.
I
We're
should
on a
take care
mission
of
to elevate our English. So
I should
we're
take
doing
care.
away with the small bad
Yes, yes.
tendencies. Yeah.
So Sips, am I sounding
Yeah.
good when I talk to you? I mean, over the call, am I sounding good? So because when I record myself and I listen to myself, my recordings, somewhere I feel that it doesn't have that. I mean, somewhere I feel something is missing when
Okay.
I listen to my recording.
Okay, are you speaking about equipment-wise, or are you speaking about your pronunciation or your getting out?
My
What are
my
you-
voice. I mean, more up into my voice.
Mm,
Is it
Nothing's
sounding
wrong with
good, or is it sounding something is missing or something like that?
nothing. Well, from what I'm hearing,
Okay.
your sound just goes down a bit, right? But what I can say is, you know what you want to sound like, right?
Yes.
You know your goals. So, for example, I'll judge on my standard, but ultimately, you know what you want, right?
Yeah.
So, regarding that, what I can say is, take in more content, right? Know who you're trying to. I don't want to say know who you're trying to sound like, because of course you're not a robot. You're not trying to mimic people, but of course there's certain jargon, there's certain that you want to be able to communicate, right?
Well,
So listen to those people more often.
okay.
Maybe you like certain motivational speakers. Maybe you like certain pronunciation from some people. Maybe you like the American accent, the British accent, whoever it is that you feel you want to assimilate to. I'll write that word down for you. Whoever you want to assimilate to in terms of sound, projection, intonation, expression, um, accent, listen to those people more.
Okay.
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 But also always try to remain as true to Dwari as you can.
Yeah.
While listening to other people, they'll try to shape. Maybe you want to pronounce words a bit better and you want to sound like this. Listen to those people more, and
Okay.
then it will help shape and inform that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you,
But
Sips.
from
Thanks
my
for
end,
the.
you sound perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you very much. Have a wonderful day. I really can't wait to see you next time. You've been amazing. Take care.
Take care. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye, Dwari.